I thought we were going to watch Kirk die in that moment.
Yeah, he should have done.
I wish.
Wow.
Captain's Pod, Stardate 840823.1, he thinks. Welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shortly from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, she knows Klingon Kung Fu, it's Ambassador Deneé.
Hey.
And he's just had his buffers purged, it's Commodore Dicer.
Ooh.
Involuntarily, by Chapel, by Nurse Chapel.
Why am I learning Kung Fu?
Before we get into this week's episode, we have a new little mini segment that we're going to do at the beginning. Let's do some listener emails. Emails.
We don't know what that just was, but that was a crime.
Yeah. Sorry, apologies in advance for your ears. We haven't heard that bumper yet. Okay, this comes from Jonathan Miller. Hello, Jonathan. I've heard you talking about... So this is headed up Young Spock Theory. I've heard you talking about young Spock and some of the liberties they've been taking with him in Strange New Worlds. Stop me if you've considered this already. I can't. You're writing an email, but...
Jonathan, stop. I've considered
Jonathan,
this
stop
already.
right now.
Stop it.
I've already considered this. Next email.
I actually didn't read the rest of the email, just deleted it, stopped, moved on. But I think it's more than just having fun with the character before he ages into his emotionless self. I recently caught The Cage on reruns, which is the pilot of TOS with Captain Pike, and noticed even in the pilot, Leonard Nimoy's Spock was displaying emotions. He spots flowers on the planet that act as wind chimes, and he smiles at them. There is some laughing that comes from
Was
Spock.
it creepy?
Oh, it's super creepy. Even back then, and this is the first time you're seeing Spock, it's still creepy compared to what we know now.
I really need to watch our Sins video for that episode again and see what we
didn't you do the man trap though? I don't think
we did the pilot. You said it was the pilot.
Maybe you did the cage. I thought you did the man trap.
I think we did the man trap, but
yeah, no. So the pilot is the cage, which is this, and then the second pilot is the man trap.
I'm confused. We did the one with Kirk.
Yeah, so that's the second pilot. This was the unaired pilot.
Got it.
So I just watched it.
It's a little bit. It's not this scene. I think, or is it this
He
scene?
definitely smiled.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. So weird.
That is weird.
So weird.
Also,
So much sleeve. So much sleeve.
That is a very blue knot flower. What
yes.
is that? That is like a what is that thing you put over like baby cribs? Like a what are those called?
Oh, mobile.
A mobile. Yeah, that's a mobile.
Yeah, mobile. Whatever.
That's what that is.
That is somebody that was like, we have a whole bunch of swimming caps we don't know what to do with.
I love how they knew this was going to be in color, and this is why they went yellow, red, blue, bright colors for the uniform, immediately covered them up.
Yes.
Jonathan continues. I'm not sure when those events take place relative to Strange New Worlds, but I have reasons for thinking The Cage has already happened in the Strange New World timeline. Bottom line, I think the writers are making a conscious decision to have this Spock stay in character compared to the pilot, and they're not having him explore his emotions just yet, just because they can. There is some canon for his behavior. And yeah, I think I agree. That pilot does happen before Strange New Worlds. So, and I think we've mentioned that on the show, that we think that this is a almost like adolescent Spock that's more in touch with his emotions and whatnot.
That was really cool. Thank you for pointing that out, because we watched the clip and that was really kind of fun to see. Look at that young Nimoy.
Yeah. It's interesting that they haven't quite got the eyes, the eyebrows right yet. They're very, very harsh.
They're predominant. They're like Aaron's eyebrows.
Oh, thank you.
Very much. Very dominant.
Welcome.
I appreciate that. I'll take that.
Also, I just want to say I totally believe that the writers would be keeping stuff like this in mind to try to stay as true to canon as possible. So
yeah, for sure. And it's a great opportunity to do it as well. I know that's not your favorite Spock, Aaron, but the canon stuff doesn't really bother you too much, does it?
No. Have I mentioned the Spock stuff is like that I'm bothered by it canonically?
No, just that it's not your favorite thing.
No, but the reason for that is not because it doesn't make sense with Star Trek. The reason for that is that character works its best in opposition to emotion in people. Like, that character plays a role usually of what is the stripped down way to look at this thing as opposed to the human way to look at this thing. So it's not a matter of I don't like Spock smiling or laughing because, well, Spock would never do that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I like that character better when it's in opposition to what every other character is doing, which is leading with
we
their
have
emotions.
plenty of emotional people on the ship. Yeah, that makes sense. Love this next email as well. This is from Matt Hamilton on
Hi,
this
Matt.
week. Hi, Matt. On this week's pod, which would be 2 weeks ago, you asked how someone who hadn't seen Lower Decks would like the crossover episode. I don't quite fit that. I saw 2 or 3 Lower Decks episodes before deciding it wasn't my thing. However, I thought this episode was really fun in all the ways that you mentioned. It's a standalone episode where viewers should suspend their disbelief. There were references I didn't get until reading about them afterwards. I've seen enough of the series to get most of the references, though, and they framed it well enough that you know they're funny, even if you don't quite know why. And then a general note on the Strange New World season. I agree with the previous pods that the first few episodes of the season weren't ideal. However, I believe Anson Mount's wife had a baby early in filming, and they shifted things around in the schedule to accommodate him. Things might have felt more organic if he had been in those episodes. So, point
I thought he was
number
going to say
one.
if he hadn't had a child in the first place.
I mean, there is a good reason why we sin kids.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Well,
but
now
wow,
I know
hard.
my first thing to do if I ever get a time machine is to go back and give Anson Mount a condom and make sure that this season of Strange New Worlds is better.
Could you just wait? Could you just wait or do it sooner?
Kidding, very much kidding. Congratulations to them, and I wish them the best on raising a child, which is not easy. And I wish them, I wish them all the energy and the new forms of love that they will need to develop and persevere through. So, yes.
Not easy, and yet Aaron has done it 4 times.
Yeah. And I like how Aaron's assuming that Anson Mount is listening to our podcast.
You don't think so?
Hey, 6
Hi,
degrees of
Anson.
separation. There is somebody 6 people away from Anson that is listening to the show.
Our audience loves you. We love you. And Aaron loves that you have children.
I
That
don't
was
have an
not-
investment one
we-
way or
we-
another in whether somebody has a child. I am trying to congratulate them and wish them the best as they pursue this very interesting, rewarding, and difficult journey.
And I'm going to continue to make it as awkward as possible by continuing to talk about it.
Back to Matt's email.
Oh, hi,
Genuinely,
Oh,
thank
hi,
you.
Matt.
Thank you for emailing us, because we did want to have input from somebody that hasn't watched Lower Decks that watched this episode, and it seems like he had a good time with it, got the references, which was kind of our instinct, wasn't it? Like, there's some references you're not going to get, but overall, this works even if you have no idea what Lower Decks is.
It's wild to me because we live in an entertainment culture that really values references, callbacks, running jokes, like inside jokes, all those kind of things. We do them in our job all the time, and we know that there will be a large portion of people who it may go over their head. What's the skill set that's involved is whether or not you draw attention to it in a way that the person who's left out feels left out, right?
Yes,
like that's
exactly.
what you're trying to avoid. And I never felt like during the Lower Decks episode that any of the references that only fans of Lower Decks might get were so like flashing lights on them that somebody who didn't get them would feel left out. It would just go over their head. It's fine for stuff to go over people's head. It's just you don't want them feeling like Uncharted when they walk up to the beach and there's a guy on a chair and they're like, hey, guy on a chair that's not in this movie, let's have a conversation. And as a non-Uncharted person...
Hello, Nolan North. How are you doing today?
Yeah, and as somebody who has no idea who that is, I'm going, I think I'm supposed to know something here.
Yeah.
But, you know, like that's what you're trying to avoid. And I think the episode avoided that pretty well. So
I think in hindsight, you can actually side with the Strange New Worlds crew because they don't get the references either.
Right.
So at the very least, you're with them on being left out of the joke because that shit hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And it does make me feel kind of better that there's someone else out there that didn't enjoy the opening episodes of the show as well. It's not just the 3 of us. Well, thank you for your emails, guys, and send some more emails. Let's get into the show. This week we have episode 9, Subspace Rhapsody. Spoiler alert, yes, this is the musical
Let's
episode.
go!
Before we get into it,
I've always wanted to do a musical podcast.
I'm not doing it. You can feel free. Feel free. I will just be
Aaron,
talking.
what about you?
I think a musical
I
is
hate
the way
this so
to go. When you podcast all the things you know, you can tell people
it.
what to watch and not watch. But if you do that, you better be careful because you'll sound judgmental.
I hate musicals so much.
Ambassador,
He
I have
hates those musicals so much, but
He
why? They didn't
does.
steal his lunch, so
He
why does he
hates
hate them?
them.
Why does he
The
groan? Who
captain's
knows? Maybe he'll end up alone.
I don't know what you were saying. I was trying to match
No.
you. This is just all off the rails.
No one's going to believe that wasn't rehearsed. No, they will. They will. Ambassador, give us one specific prediction and one general prediction about the episode. You can't say singing.
Specifically,
Yes.
you're not going to enjoy this episode. That's
I
my
love
prediction.
that. I love that.
I think somebody is going to go for a high note and like it's going to be like a comedic thing where they like miss it somehow. Like they hiccup or something gets caught in their throat
Nice.
and it gets lower. Just something kind of like funny happens where someone goes to hit a note.
And their voice just cracks.
Something goes wrong. Like they just like a food lodges in there and they have to clear it out. That's my oddly specific one.
Okay, brilliant. We'll just stick with oddly specific, considering the big predictions are kind of self-explanatory. Dicer, give us a oddly specific prediction.
Oh, I don't get the general prediction? I was going to just say for the general prediction that I think that we are probably dealing with a storybook episode kind of thing again, where this is against their will, that they are in some sort of, musical virus or something that has taken over the ship.
All musicals are viruses, Aaron.
Specifically, I think that Spock singing is going to be the most hilarious thing I've ever seen.
Captain,
I think you're right. Yeah, it's got to be. Yes.
can we just auto-tune you singing with us?
If I knew how to... Oh, you mean I just talk normally, but then you warble it? Yeah, if you know how to do that. I'm not the person to ask. Listeners at home, if anybody wants to re-edit this episode to make it sound like I'm singing, go for it. Deneé, actually, really quick, how do you think they end up singing? What do you think causes them to be singing?
Drugs.
Drugs. Moving on. Right, we'll see you over in 10 forward, 3 to beam to the holodeck. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and way too many feelings. On the episode we just watched together, most important question first, what would you like from the replicator, Ambassador?
I want the mango stack peach drink.
Okay, Dicer.
Or maybe it was like a melon stack or something. It was what she was drinking at the end.
Oh, whatever it was, I completely missed it. I must have zoned out.
I would like Julia Child's Boeuf Bourguignon.
Goodness.
Sorry, I had deep emotional feelings about that beef, whatever it was.
Bouillon.
Bouillon.
I want an album of Klingon dubstep, please. Ambassador, give us a synopsis.
Okay, everybody. I'm going to sing the entire thing.
No, you're not.
In today's episode, we learn even more about why the previously ons tell you everything you need to know. Boy, did you want more exploration of feelings? This is the episode for you. Did you want it in slow-paced yet sometimes fast music? Is this the episode for you? Did you want to know for sure whether Carol and Kid were a thing? They sure are. Oh, and Klingons.
And Klingons, yep.
Kling songs.
Kling songs, nice. The Enterprise intercepts a subspace anomaly of some sort. They try to analyze it to further their own communications technology, and They accidentally flood it with a musical number, and it makes the entire crew sing. How will they escape? Overall thoughts and feelings, Commodore Dicer, as if I need to ask.
You do need to ask. I don't think I enjoyed this as much as you think I would. I think most of the music in this is pretty mediocre, and that's tough because it's doing the musical thing without being a good musical. Now that's not all the way straight through. The bookends are actually pretty good. The first number and the last number are decent, but the rest of the music is, it's on par with what Deneé and I have done in this episode. It literally is just like saying,
wow,
you're
thanks.
welcome. It literally is just saying things, and there's some talent that saves some of this. They know who to go to. Ethan Peck is an incredible singer, apparently. Uhura blew my mind. La'an can sing. So they hit the specific people that they knew could really pull it off. But
La'an has an album.
Yes, but that also creates a level of sameness in the songs. Like, it's clear they wanted a full musical songbook because there are 10 songs in this episode. So they wanted to release an album, they wanted a songbook, and that's fine. The problem is when you have the same people doing a lot of the songs and the songs aren't as creative as I'm used to in like great musicals, it can become a little samey and a little boring.
Were you expecting Hamilton?
No. Let me be clear.
You got Little
No.
Mermaid.
I'm not expecting Treckleton. I'm not expecting that. But I think it bears mentioning that if you love musicals, you won't just love this episode because you love musicals. Now, there are things about the musical experience that this episode gets right that I really loved, and that is how musicals play with emotion, how they impact emotion. I love that the big finale number really understands what the euphoria of a big closing number is about. It not only understands it in the performance, it understands it in the plot, which I think is really interesting as well. So
it's really clever.
Yeah, so I really like that stuff. I did enjoy this episode, but I didn't love it as much as you might think. I was bored occasionally.
Ambassador. I saw you nodding along. Similar feelings, or are you a bit warmer on it? Or colder?
No, I had similar feelings to the musical numbers. I felt like they were very simple and easy to sing, possibly. I mean, just from a logistics standpoint, I'm wondering if, there was some auto-tuning and just kind of some fixing involved. And so the slower, the easier on those. I did like them. I did like some of the songs a lot, and I think La'an's was my favorite because it felt the most emotional and kind of more fast-paced. But yeah, they're kind of just all monologuing about how they were feeling, and unsurprisingly, when we talk a lot about how we're feeling in shows, I kind of start to tune out just a little bit, especially when it feels like it's stuff that we've already covered before. At this point in this series, it feels like the La'an Kirk stuff. I don't know. It just felt like a lot of time to be invested in this. And if I could go back and trade more melty Pike face in season 1 to get less of repeat emotion in season 2, I might do it. You know what I mean? Like, I was worried that they were going to be too repeaty.
Yeah. or let's go to Strange New Worlds. Or let's do that. Let's go to a Strange New World and experience like actual science fiction that's interesting, and like it's just
that's expensive, Aaron. It's too expensive. Come on.
It's expensive.
I did not enjoy it. I just felt like it was okay. It was okay. With a couple of highlights for me, and a couple of low notes for me. But surprisingly, there were no actual missed notes in it. There were some things like, I think maybe my favorite part of the entire episode is the opening credit sequence that they sang, because I thought that was really clever.
Yes, very good.
It's incredible. Before we get into that, that's strange. You strangely made me feel better because I got about 30 minutes into the episode, and I love this. I love that Star Trek did this. I really, really enjoyed this episode. However, it's exactly everything I hate about musicals at the same time. this is exactly why I don't get on with musicals. And I'm sure you're going to argue I've only seen the bad ones then, because I am so freaking bored. And the songs are just like you said, singing with not a lot of melody, not a lot of structure that my brain likes. I completely agree. Love La'an's song, that's the only one I'm really interested in. That's the only kind of love, self-reflecting song that I needed, as much as I don't think we need the La'an Kirk stuff. That felt genuine. I got the emotion from it, and I like the song. The middle portion that is Spock and Chapel's song, it just felt like we had a huge, big opening number that was like, oh, damn, this is incredible, this is great. And then a big finale where I was like, this is incredible, this is great. And then a ton of songs in the middle that all felt, for my lay brain, musically the same, very similar, very tropey, a missed opportunity. But I do want to say very quickly in the same breath, I couldn't do this. This is, like, in terms of level of difficulty for pulling off an episode like this, well done. I do not want to discourage going for big swings like this, because, my goodness, this was original for Star Trek. I know, like, Buffy has done musical episodes. Lots of people have done musical episodes, but I want to applaud that they didn't bury this in Lower Decks, which would have been, like, a no-brainer to make Lower Decks a singing episode, because you've got the ridiculous format. To put this in your flagship and with this crew, and just, it's so impressive that they even attempted it, that I'm willing to forgive quite a lot of the mediocrity and safeness of some of the music.
Yeah, I don't know, like, we're talking about the talkiness of it, and now that I'm thinking about it, because again, we watch this and then we immediately record, I don't think that I mind it too much, because they are trying to solve something inside of their world and the emotion of it. Like, for example, Uhura at the very end, she starts singing about how she's got to figure out this plan. She's alone. She's got to find the pattern. And then all of a sudden she's talking about her dead family. And I was like, what are we doing here? Like, what is this song about?
It felt odd.
And then it kind of was like, oh, she's triggered by being alone and having to save people again. And so it's kind of like they're sprinkling in backstory where I didn't feel we needed to have that again. But at the same time, who am I to say that this character isn't really emotional about it in this moment? I just, maybe because of the way that the episodes have kind of been displayed for us, I forget that this character is struggling with it. That particular part of her story at this moment. That's only really come up one other time that I remember.
Well, it feels very cool, Becky, because it was in episode 3 or 4 or one of them that we didn't like, where they're talking about Uhura's family.
But then with, like, Chapel and Spock and La'an and Kirk, it's like, stop it. And even Pike and Maria to a certain degree. I'm just like, quit. I mean, why is this so all of a sudden about love stories? What is going on?
Relationship dramas do we need in one season? It's a bit crazy. Aaron, you've got something exploding out of you.
No. I have a bunch of things I want to say, and thank you for noticing.
It's dribbling out of your ears.
I will just add to what you were just saying. My first note, again, is previously on Days of Our Trek. Like, it is week after week after week. The previously on is about the love stories. And I'm like, when did this become this show? Like, what? Like, what? You know? And
it's the most confusing thing to me.
And part of me wonders if it was setting up for this episode that they needed all the relate. And I think they plan on going forward with these. I don't blame them. It kind of works. The audience in general likes that kind of stuff. They want their characters to fall in love with each other that's why fanfic is a thing, right? Like, you want your favorite characters to have relationships. I get it. It's just not the show that I'm looking forward to, that I enjoy, the parts of it that I get excited about. What I was connecting to with what you were saying about the swing is really important.
Yeah.
I don't want to come off of this episode being down on this episode. I want anybody listening to at least my voice to come away from this episode going, he liked that they did this. It wasn't perfect, but I am really glad they did this. I had fun with this. I smiled a lot. I laughed a lot. As mentioned by both of us, the bookends are really great. In fact, I think Status Report is the best song in the episode, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
The first one was great. Yeah.
So good.
And I really thought, like, I'm making notes at the beginning, like, oh my goodness, they did it. Like, this is going to be amazing. And so that's
to
part of
with Spock. It was the most ridiculous person to be singing. It's like, I'm so sorry, I'm singing.
Yes. Oh, and again, it ends well too. But that's part of the disappointment of the middle. Is they really set us up for no. We went for it. We're going to get this thing.
My expectations went through the roof.
I liked a couple of the songs that were in the middle for sure. Like I mentioned La'an's song, but even though it felt slow, and maybe the other part of it that felt slow too is that there's not a lot of action. They're literally just talking to each other. So you're standing still, you're in quarters, you're in an office, just having a conversation. So there's not really a lot of momentum that you can kind of see and hear. But the song between La'an and Number One was also really powerful. That was like her sharing her backstory of like what it means to open up. And I thought that was another, keeping secrets. I really like that one too.
The point I'm getting to is, as much as I really enjoyed Keep Us Connected, the Uhura song, I thought was really good. I enjoyed the Chapel song, I'm Ready. But what I really wanted to get to, and the reason I really appreciate this big swing, is they really did go for it. Even if every song isn't perfect, that first song is great, close to perfect. Like if they'd all been that good, like, you know, I would be over the moon for this episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there weren't like a lot of harmonies going on and like intricacies.
Except in the bookends. And again, they're working with, you know, a limited amount of time, and, you know, this isn't a musical show usually. But they contracted the band. What was the band's name? They haven't been Letters to Cleo. I don't know if you remember Letters to Cleo. There are a couple members of Letters to Cleo that wrote all the music in this episode, and they haven't necessarily been doing stuff as a band for a while, but for them to do this, I thought was really cool. And they really put effort into the theme of the songs. This is the beautiful thing about musicals, is a lot of times they will play with the same theme but in different ways. And this is all about connections. If you look through these songs, every one of them in some way is dealing with how you're connected to somebody else, how you're connected to, and for the finale to be We Are One, like the idea of unity is the ultimate connection. And like they put a lot of thought into this, and I really do appreciate that. So if nothing else, hear me say, I am so happy they did this episode.
Me too.
I think it's really cool that they do stuff.
I agree with you. And I mean, I love singing. So I didn't mind it. I just, maybe I wanted one that was a little bit more Hamilton, like just a little more momentum.
It's hard to live up to that stuff, but
I think if we have somewhere in the middle, we have something that's a bit more upbeat, a throwaway dance number where they're doing some like problem solving or something. This is so heavy. We've got Private Conversation, which is Anson Mount and his girlfriend.
That one did end pretty funny.
Okay, that's got a great end where it just cuts off and he's on his knee.
Like, I'm going to take care of this.
But the middle is these three different romantic arcs that, yes, are about connection, but they aren't about the stuff I'm interested in.
Right, yes, exactly.
Imagine Singing in the Rain had 5 different relationships going on. But you're right, they go, this isn't just like 4 songs. This is 10.
Yeah, it was packed.
Songs, including like the opening a cappella version of the opening thing.
And the end credits
they
medley.
Packed this. Yeah, they packed this full of songs. They really went for it. I've got to say, when we opened and we had Status Report and then the opening medley, I had chills the entire time.
Really?
It was like, why are we singing? And then bam, into an a cappella version of the Strange New Worlds theme. Good. I was like, they have gone whole hog on this. I could not be happier. And then I kind of felt more comfortable when we got into the other songs, because I was like, oh, this is why I don't like musicals. There's not like a fundamental like quarter life crisis that I'm having here. It's no, I still don't like this thing about musicals. I do want to bounce off of really quickly Christina Chong's How Would That Feel? Of the more lovey-dovey emotional songs, whatever, it wasn't really lovey-dovey, but that was the one I really liked. That gave me like a lot of Frozen, is it Idina Menzel?
Yeah, it was very dynamic.
Vibes, it felt like that.
She has a lot of ability to like control her voice,
Yeah, you can show that was like, it would have been a shame to not showcase Christina Chong as the singer of the crew.
Yep.
and to give her a real centerpiece. And it was a great track. I really, really liked it. Any other thoughts?
Well, I'll jump off that, and then I do have another thing I want to talk about. But I think the reason that one didn't connect with me is, and this is the thought I'll jump into, I think the La'an James Kirk storyline is my least favorite storyline of this season. It annoys me every time it comes up. And that's just going to happen sometimes because there's this whole thing going on with that storyline that's like, oh, I can't say anything because we had this amazing connection in the 24 hours I knew a different version of this person, and it's changed my life and everything about the core of who I am. And it's just
like trauma, guys, come on.
So that storyline is so annoying to me that anything that rotates around it, my eyes just they automatically roll. I can't stop them. Like, I'll put my fingers on my eyeballs and be like, stop rolling, it's okay. She's a beautiful voice, she's
Calm
singing
down.
And I can't stop my eyes from rolling with that storyline.
It gets a teeny bit of grace from me because
she's a con or whatever.
She literally has to go to a different space-time continuum to find somebody that doesn't recognize the name Hitler. That's what it comes down to. And for me, if that's going to inspire a quicker connection, okay, I can imagine that hitting you differently.
Yeah, she doesn't need much, you know? She just needs someone to not know who she is.
Just not know who she is at all. But in the same breath, I think I just cannot get past how personally irritated I am by how they've handled the Spock and Chapel stuff. I'm actually fine with them being together, but the lack of nuance behind how they're handling it, 3 months is not a big deal, people. This research fellowship is 3 months. They are acting like she has to move to a different space-time continuum entirely and never speak about Spock again. In the same episode where you have Pike and Batal dealing with a long-distance relationship. We know it's possible. It can be done. Why are they acting like this 3-month gap is impossible?
So now it's my turn to give a little bit of grace to the Spock and Chapel thing, because according at least to this episode, this is on Spock, right? Chapel is ready. Her whole song was, I'm ready. Like, I'm going to go do this thing. And her whole thing with Spock this whole time has been like, I don't know what this is, but let's go for it. Like, it's never been like, you know, the way you're describing it. But for Spock, it has, which kind of makes a little more sense because he's so
young,
fresh to emotions and how this stuff feels, and, you know, going with something like this. So for him, 3 months, he's an adolescent, right? In some ways, like it does feel like the world is ending.
Can we pause for a second though? The line that she says is, "I don't care if I have to leave you. I'm out." Like, she literally says, and I think
he takes that as a breakup.
I would say that I really enjoy blunt communication. If you're my friend in my life, you know I often say things without having hardly any filters at all. And my friends are Aaron and Ian, both having had many of experiences with me. You know, you're probably thinking of something specific. And then I go back. I'm
about to burst into song describing one of them.
Did you say something singular?
Something specific. So many things specific. So I really liked that line. Like, I don't care if it's going to hurt. I don't care if it means that we're not together. I'm going to go do what I want to do. But, like, have like a little rollback on that. Like, I probably have said something similar. And then like, you know what? I do care. I actually do care. But it takes me a second to get to, like, no, I really do care. I care how you feel, but I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. And even if it hurts you, I'm going to do it because it's important to me. And I think that's what Chapel is probably trying to say, but they're not having that conversation because Spock has, you know, he has hurt, but he's got his little butthurt feelings, which...
He seemed to take that as a breakup, didn't he? He said to Uhura, it's pretty clear that she broke up with me.
His entire song is, I'm the ex, so...
I mean, I've got to say, I love that wordplay. That is kind of perfect, the way for his Vulcan brain to interpret this. Like, I'm the unknown in the equation. That worked.
Yeah, that was good.
Even though I didn't really like the song, but the theme I enjoyed.
Made that exact wordplay joke last week about Twitter being my ex because they changed the name to X or whatever. So it was interesting.
You feel robbed.
Yeah.
Amazing. I want to give a shout out to the Klingons. I predict that this will be the most unpopular part of the episode for the quote-unquote hardcore Trek fans. I'm going to say I love you all very much. Love what you love, but lighten up. It was so fun. That was with the choreograph with the bat lifts and the immediate dubstep bridge. I loved it. I'm sorry. It's fine. It's allowed. It was a subspace anomaly. It's fine. It's okay.
I agree. I totally agree with everything.
I'm shocked. Klingons, they were just as shocked.
I totally agree with everything you said except for one thing. Dubstep? You think that was
dubstep? Whatever. It was
just like an auto-tuned rap. I don't remember any.
They had an extra. There was an extra couple of beats in that. I'm an old man now. It's fine.
You're showing your age.
I could be wrong too. It could have been dubstep, but I don't. It had that's not what I think of.
Verse, heavy, kind of rapping.
Yes.
R&B beat-ish kind of thing to it.
It was definitely auto-tuned, which was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
It was a few pitches way, way higher than it should have been, which is obviously hilarious because it's Klingons. I will represent a small voice on the internet, which is why wasn't it Klingon opera? Because the Klingons are famous for their opera. It would have been nice to see them belt out some random operatic stuff.
That's where I'm at with this.
And that wouldn't have pissed off as many people. I think you could have delivered an operatic bridge instead of the club bridge.
Yeah, my confusion about that scene specifically, I guess, could be considered a sin or not. I don't really know, but that's a way of singing a song style, a musical style that I feel like we the viewers know, but would the Klingons know that?
Well,
and how does that work?
It was uploaded from the Federation database, so they're being forced to sing Federation music is what I'm going to bend it with.
This would be a good time to mention that so much technobabble in this one was just like, what the fuck ever you guys are saying is what the fuck ever you guys are saying. I don't know what's going on.
I agree, but it all made sense to me.
Well, that's good. That's good.
It was all stuff I kind of heard in the Star Trek lingo before, but yeah, it was
a lot.
Gibberish.
It was a lot. It was a lot of explaining why the things were making sense, and I was like, that it makes sense to you, and that's okay. We're gonna do the thing here.
we're gonna get through it.
We're gonna get through it.
Before we move on from the Klingon stuff, the lead Klingon was Bruce Horrick.
Amazing.
It's just incredible.
I didn't even know that.
Who's Bruce Horrick?
Wait. Oh, Bruce Horrick. Hemmer.
Yeah, our friend Bruce.
Yeah.
Our friend Bruce.
I was like, wait, I know that name. What the heck?
I saw his name pop up in the credits, so I did a really quick Google before we started, and yeah, the Klingon with the eye patch was our friend Bruce.
Oh my gosh. I think he even said that many people play different things. You never know when you're going to pop up in Star Trek. Oh, he does it. Clever boy.
Long may he reign. That's incredible. There was a quick note I had about the end of the episode. It was just the joy in Uhura's eyes when she's delivering the news of how we have to solve the problem was a really, really fun choice, because she's not mournful, regretful, just I'm so sorry, guys, we're going to have to sing a big finale number. She's like, guys, I know how to fix this. We have to do a big number at the end. Yeah. And she's just eating it.
She was very happy.
Such a great choice.
Yeah, she was very, very happy. Aaron kind of briefly mentioned it, but Spock's voice. Oh.
He can sing, man.
Yeah, he can sing. That baritone was great. Yeah, just melting Deneé, completely melting the ambassador.
Yeah, I liked that a whole bunch.
I do love Mbenga's, just I don't sing.
I like that there were some little fun things in the lyrics that you can catch, too. I definitely very quickly turn subs on, which is something with musicals I find really, really beneficial.
For sure, yeah.
Because you catch a lot of things. With musicals, a lot of times you'll catch things the third or fourth time you listen to a song. But if you can watch with subtitles, then you can kind of see all the lyrics and stuff. But there was, in the very last one of the lines was, I confess I will miss the singing.
Yeah.
Except for Ethan Peck's character says, won't miss the singing.
I caught that, yes.
Yeah.
It's so good. I won't miss the singing.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. And the moment when in that there was a line that was like, this is our prime directive, and then Spock says, well, not exactly.
Yeah.
Not exactly.
that kind of stuff always I really, really like with musicals.
I think it's really, really clever that it wasn't the whole episode. because most of the times I've seen this, they're locked into the format because a spell has been cast, something has happened, and now they have to shoehorn a way to make everything singing. And then you don't even have songs. You just have sentences that connect your big songs. Jumping in and out and tying that into there being a trigger for this and then tying that into the solution as well was really, really smart. I love the...
They could hear the music and they just sort of like all look up like, can you hear that?
Yeah, it's like, where's the music? Yeah, it's about to start, isn't it? And Uhura just like bringing up her little scanner, just like, okay, I'm going to record this. I just thought that was really smart to turn the bug into a feature and not... It's all ridiculous. It's all stupid. But Star Trek allows you to jump themes and genre hop because you just say a Heisenberg compensator and I'm in. Okay, you're all singing. Great.
Yeah,
I loved how they executed it.
One other thing I had written down, because I agree with what you're saying, is that the first officer today, for some reason, I noticed her hair and it felt very retro. And I continue to think it's really neat to go like these kind of throwbacks to how hairstyles were when TNG,
and TOS,
I mean,
yeah, there's
when
a lot of
TOS
respect
came
for that.
back, you'll see like the higher ponytails and things like that, and like the big poofiness. So I thought that was nice. I was like, oh, I like her hair.
Yeah, I've thought that as well. I really, really like that.
There's also something they do in this that I really love, which is that they go full Broadway with their delivery on these songs, which
super enunciated,
enunciating everything, really playing. Anson Mount does this more than anybody else, and I think he may have even been kind of trying to go like Shatner a little bit with how he was singing.
Twangy. It's like his Southern was showing.
The Enterprise,
like the whole vocal embouchure changes when you do Broadway style singing, and they really nailed that. So I props on that for sure.
I did love at the beginning, like Pike's literally just like, well, that happened. I thought you guys rehearsed that and were pranking me. I was like, that's great. That would have been one way to explain it. I did when they put the musical into the nebula and it just explodes. I went, see, the nebula hates musicals too. I'm not alone.
Nope, it loves them.
It actually loves them.
It really looked pretty too. That it almost looked like
distortion.
What is it in Finding Nemo when they get on those?
Yeah,
what is it called?
The EAC.
The EAC.
Oh, the current. Yeah.
East Atlantic Current.
I
maybe?
feel.
Is that what it stands
I
for?
feel like at the beginning I thought, oh, we're going to be like getting inside this thing and warping someplace and popping out onto a planet where they all sing, and so the only way that they can communicate is that they sing, and maybe that would have been a greater episode. But you know what? We didn't go to a strange new world today, and that's okay. We went to a strange place where Klingons perform.
Strange new space. Yeah, we did.
Ian, question for you. Did they just play like the original series theme at the end? What was that? That was
when
great.
The final...
Like the nostalgia and emotion of that after that final, it was
chills.
perfect.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought they were just
really
going to end the
that.
episode. I was like, end it there. That's fine.
Yeah.
So they literally just end that final number with it's season 2, or one of them has the lady singing, the other one doesn't. It was
right. Yeah.
And just like unedited, unaltered, just in there. And I was like, you get it. That's where this show
I thought.
really
I wanted to check with the expert, but that's what my brain was thinking.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful. There was another, and this is something I love that the show does. It punctuates silences with those TOS bridge sounds. Now, you're Starship Blind Dicer. I don't know if you're also nerd blind as well, nerd deaf. But when Pike is on his knees and then the transmission finally gets cut off by Laan, and it's just the boop, 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 boop. The surrounding bridge noises just punctuate how everyone is silent and all you can hear is the little consoles going off. And just the awkwardness that delivered was beautiful. I was like, that's nice. I wish I was in the room for that.
I also like the awkwardness at the end when Uhura just hums her earworm.
Yeah, they all think
they're
it's
all like,
again.
oh no. But just getting every single person to turn around to camera with a shocked look, and then they're all like stacked back to back was just pretty cool.
And that's a classic TNG TOS way to end as well. TOS would often end on a punchline or a joke and the bridge crew laughing and then freeze frame, everyone laughing. And it's just kind of a nice updated way to do that. I love
just
it.
always think of the Files of the Police Squad when that freeze frame ending thing. Because, Deneé, I don't know if you know this show, but it was like a Naked Gun, show, like a mockery of whatever shows. So they would end on a freeze frame, except for they're still filming and everybody's just frozen. So they'll end with somebody pouring somebody a cup of coffee, and then the coffee will just start overflowing or whatever, but everybody's like frozen. That's what I was
That's
reminding me of.
amazing.
So good.
I had a couple other observations.
Yeah, go for it.
How did you guys feel about the island population? Was it island population one? No. The moment when number one it was singing to La'an and then they killed the gravity. How did you feel about that?
Oh, I actually had a question about that I was going to get into
maybe in the Sins?
in Sins a little bit. But was it was Spock that killed the gravity, right?
I thought so.
In a completely different area of the ship, I thought
so too. I got confused by that.
And then number one fixes it on her pad.
Yes, yeah.
I think.
That's how I remember it happening too. And so yeah,
I was a little bit confused in that moment.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that confusion in the Sins and see if you guys could help me figure that out.
Yeah, but anyways, I thought that it was interesting because it's like, oh, this is so cinematic and like it's so over the top Broadway.
I thought it was a great idea. Yeah. I just didn't understand how it worked.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I think it was great. Why not do that if you can in space and choreograph something like that without gravity? I was going to mention this in the Sins, but we'll just talk about it now. I wish they hadn't done it because I think they actually executed it really poorly. Because the internal shots, yes, from camera angles and trickery, you get the impression that they're floating, but it is so clearly apparent they are not floating, and it is given away the most by the external shot, where you have some of the worst CGI fake body La'an number one that I have ever seen. It looked fucking creepy. I thought they were dead. I thought we were looking at zombies and their reanimated uncanny valley floating bodies, because that's the only way they could quote unquote pull off a shot of them floating was to do it external and all CGI. So distracting, ripped me out of the moment. And then we go back inside and they're not dead, they're real humans, but I clearly know that they're standing because you couldn't pull off putting them on strings or whatever. I get it, it's hard, but trick me in other ways. Don't use CGI when it is so distracting like that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, tell us how you really feel.
I challenge you to rewatch that. It hurt. It hurt me bad.
Another thing I wanted to mention is that I love that there's now a scientific reason and place for why musicals exist. So now every time I watch a musical, I'm like, oh, this is why this is happening.
Get off. It's my biggest sin of the show. It's my biggest sin of the episode. I almost wish they hadn't given us a reason. Deneé, give us your final points before I explode.
I really liked the moment when Uhura's doing her solo as she's figuring out the pattern, and then the camera's kind of like zoomed in on her face, and she's got this sphere of calculations, and I feel like that's the new lady thinking calculation meme.
Yes.
Like if that doesn't replace the math meme, then I don't know what we're doing with memes anymore.
It really should. Amazing. Well, final thoughts are I really had a great time with it. I want them to do more wild stuff like this. Every season needs a bonkers episode like this. I think we need ships deliberately going to this anomaly to be exposed to it because it's so much fun.
For immunity.
Exactly. This is in the 60-year history of the show, the first time that we've had a musical episode like this.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's incredible. I think it's great. Everyone's been asking for it for a long time.
Interesting.
And I really applaud how they did it. I really enjoyed it.
My final thoughts include, number one, a question to you, Ian. Do you want to talk about Carol's pregnancy at all?
That's good. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
I just want to hear
absolutely.
your thoughts on the canon of that, the history of that.
I could hear the internet kind of squelch and explode. It's actually fine because there's a level of ambiguity in the Wrath of Khan about whether Kirk actually knew about his son, because the gut instinct is, he didn't know that he had a kid. Now you might not know this, Deneé, but Kirk does have a son,
and he dies.
But we don't meet him until the second Star Trek movie.
When he dies.
He dies in the third one. But there is... Kirk knows that Carol has a son called David, and that Kirk has been asked to stay out of her life and his life. So it's kind of implied that he knows about it. The problem is he doesn't act like he knows he has a son throughout the entirety of TOS. He's never mentioned. It's clearly made for the Wrath of Khan. So Kirk does know that he has a son, and it's fine. It happens now. Whatever. We could have gone without Carol Marcus being mentioned, but again, I think it's the showrunners preempting these. How can Kirk have a relationship? When does Carol Marcus turn up? These questions are going to be asked, so I guess you have to address them. But it was fine.
Well,
it was
let's
fine.
just remind everybody: somebody else's pregnancy is none of your business. You know.
That too. Somebody else's fictional pregnancy isn't your business. This still doesn't fix how weird it is that throughout the run of TOS.
I'm not sure I agree. I think if it's an entertainment and it's a storyline, I think it's purposefully part of our business. But yeah.
So did it stand out to you, Aaron?
Yeah, no, I was vaguely aware of what we're referencing and kind of the work we're doing. It locks in some things about James Tiberius Kirk that I don't know have necessarily been locked in. So I found it interesting that the show was going, oh yeah, he knew Carol was pregnant. That was, that I wanted to hear your thoughts, and they kind of echo what I figured. But
I wouldn't sin it now. I would go back and sin Wrath of Khan even harder, because it's Wrath of Khan's fault that
she's
TOS
pregnant
now feels that TOS. Well, yeah,
Carol
it really is.
Had a relationship with Wrath of Khan.
Yeah. It's that film that makes rewatching TOS odd, because he has a son out there that he never mentions and they never use as a plot device because they hadn't written it yet. So it's weird. It doesn't actually hurt Strange New Worlds for me.
And Deneé, I would also mention that they mentioned Louis Pasteur in this episode, and Benga mentions Louis Pasteur, and so I thought you would appreciate that as somebody who is currently in the science of developing medical bacteria.
I mean, he's not currently in it. He's
is.
done it. She is. Sorry,
she is. Yes, Deneé is somebody.
Deneé
Deneé is currently.
I am pursuing a career in marine biology / pharmaceuticals.
Stay tuned for the outtakes to find out exactly why. But until then, let's head over to engineering for some sinning. Battle stations, everyone. I said sinning, not singing.
And yet you sung.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sing brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sing, even our beloved Star Trek.
What is going on?
Ambassador, you go first.
Okay. I will go first. You watch me. Sin.
Commodore, you go first.
Somebody said the last thing anyone wants is a singing Klingon. And you are wrong.
Right?
You are wrong.
You are wrong.
And that is the biggest
You
sin
could
of
not
this
be more
episode.
wrong.
That is all I wanted to see was a fucking Klingon opera. And why do I know about Klingon operas? I'm glad you're wondering this, because my aunt told me about it many, many moons ago. My aunt learned Klingon. My aunt was the woman who was a martial artist, and she had her own bat lift kind of a situation. Like, she loved Klingons. And so I was like, oh, this is awesome. And so when we used to watch the show together, I was like, cool, look at them drinking blood and stuff. But anyway, I wanted to see the fucking Klingons show us something incredible. And instead, they turned them into cartoons. And I'm really bummed about that. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was kind of funny, but it's like, it's funny if it was somebody doing like what's the word? Like a parody. Yeah, like a parody show or something. It just felt.
Lower Decks would have made more sense. Yeah, that was the most Lower Decks moment for the whole show for sure.
I wanted, and maybe they were just like, you know what? Everybody's gonna want an opera. Let's not give them what they want. Yeah. But I think that was the wrong call to make.
I can see that. I can totally see that. Like I said, I personally loved it, but I get it. It would have been a safer route to take. Dicer.
A person can tell someone else is in love cliche.
Oh yeah, I can
all
smell
over
it on
the
you.
like. It's just like
You have energy.
You have an energy about you.
Oh yeah.
In that moment, I would like to just sin the blatant transporter control disrespect that is in this entire episode. Sir, you need lessons, sir and madam. You need lessons from Chief Engineer Montgomery Scott and from Chief Transporter Officer Miles Edward O'Brien. There is a very delicate way that you take those 3 nozzles, be they touchscreen or physical thing.
She was just like,
they slammed those nozzles.
She rammed it
They should have
hard.
fallen.
You never
off.
slam someone's nozzles.
You don't. You've got to do them delicately. This is a delicate procedure. You just don't bam energize.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't bam energize.
That hurt me.
It was painful.
hurt
It was
me.
scary.
Unless that's specifically requested.
Unless it's some transporter protocol, like when it's gas, fine, we just ram it. But she did it to a human.
She did.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Oof.
I thought we were going to
Ambassador.
watch Kirk die in that moment.
Yeah, he should have done.
I wish.
Wow.
Sorry. I don't like that he's a part of the
wish.
show now. This is my next sin. My next sin is it is super annoying to me the absolute way they are finding excuses to force him onto this ship. It's so annoying.
Kirk is back. Why was my note?
Yes, like he's part of the cast now, and he works on a different ship. Like
It's insane.
It's ridiculous.
They may as well merge these crews. The Farragut and the Enterprise are together so often, I don't understand why they need 2 ships. Yeah, it's so contrived. Like, thank goodness he was on the ship so Lon could express some emotions. Like, it's beyond contrived.
And why did we even have his brother there for one season? Just so that
For the name drop, I think it's to give Kirk a reason to be here this season.
I would be much calmer about this. If this were season 4 and we'd had time with our actual Enterprise crew, and then Kirk was starting to appear in the picture, and then the next season was kind of a part of the cat, like that makes sense to me.
Do you think that maybe they were bringing in Kirk thinking that Mount might not come back? I said Mount really strangely there because it was, I don't know why that came out of my mouth that way, but because, he was
It's
having a child,
possible?
and so maybe they're thinking we
Maybe.
need to get Kirk
I don't
more
think the
involved.
timing works right on that. I don't think
No, because they had that
the
plan in
planning. There's so much
it was
planning
in
that
episode
goes
10.
into this stuff. I don't think so. I think he was in the one episode in season 1, and they were like, people didn't hate us for this. Let's milk that nostalgia. That's what I think. They were.
Oh, let's show young Kirk. Yeah, it's hard when we're not having enough time with our own people.
It
It
feels
really
that
is.
way. It feels like we don't have a lot of time with our own people, and that is kind of neat to say. I love the characters from season 1
Yeah.
so much.
I mean, there's a fine line between leave us wanting more and leave us. we haven't had enough of them at all.
I just feel like there's a way to show character development without spending an episode on character development. And this season has really
Correct.
spent a lot of time digging into individual characters in a way that I don't think I expected it. I thought it would be a little different. But that's
It's
okay.
doing the thing
That's
that
what it
Star
is.
Trek is great at badly. Star Trek is great at analogies and allegories, and this is just hitting us over the head with that stuff instead of finding an interesting way to explore it. I don't know if we actually got a sin from you, Ambassador. I think we skipped around you and got to Kirk, like the show keeps doing.
There was a moment when Spock says to Chapel, like, did you not tell me about getting this fellowship because you were avoiding me? And then she avoids answering that question by singing an entire song about her freedom to do what she wants to do, which wasn't his question at all. And I just felt like it was one of those examples of I didn't mind the song. I don't mind Chapel's strength and like her confidence in herself. And I don't know if there was any Spock Chapel development in the last episode, since I still haven't seen that one yet. There was something on the previously ons, I think, that was not, I hadn't seen yet. Like they had some kind
so
of.
Chapel is like specifically triggered by this Klingon diplomat, and he attempts to change the subject to kind of come in and save the day. But the long and short of it is that everything he does kind of makes her more upset. So he says, I'm just going to stop talking to you because I keep making you more upset, and then walks off. And that's the conflict they have in the episode.
I see.
He leaves her.
So I just found that kind of interesting that like he's just like, I just want an update. Like, are you avoiding me? Are you not avoiding me? And I don't understand why he lacks the tact to do that in private. I don't know if that's something that's just like he's used to having. To him, it's not offensive, right? To him, it's not an offense to talk about this thing because it's just a logical thing to ask that question. But I just found it interesting that the response was her avoiding the question entirely.
Yeah, no,
you didn't even sing the answer to that one.
No, you went straight into your big number. There
was actually something else that I thought I was reading a different sin, but I'll get to that one when it's my turn again.
Cool. Disa.
Uhura at one point says, "Oh, I don't look at personal correspondences." ...
But
could you? Like, is that possible?
You could.
And they're both acting like that's completely possible. That she just has access to everybody's personal email. Oh, I choose not to do that. But of course, all of us could just look at everybody else's emails. Like, am I wrong here? What happened there?
I think it's because all the communication was on her console that day.
That's but how? I'm saying that should not be possible.
Well, because their communication shut down so into old school. Like the beginning of the episode was all about how it's like, we can't, all the normal ways of communication are down, so I'm the one that has to route them. So she became router central. And so
but she still shouldn't be able to open them. Right? She should be able to route them without getting into the mail.
She still, no matter what, says, I don't look at personal correspondence. That implies that she could.
Yes.
And that it's something that she's decided not to do.
It's against protocol. Superior officer that should know it's against protocol. And I think they're trying to pitch it as Spock said it despite himself. Like it just kind of came out because then he's like, yeah, no, that would be unethical, wouldn't it? But it's all kinds
why
of
is that line? Why is that line? Like, why even point that out? Anyway.
On that moment, in like the fact that communication systems are getting fucked with and Uhura is a glorified switchboard operator now, everyone is a dick to Uhura. At that point, it is emergency communications only.
I had the same fucking thought.
Not
Does
Captain
she not
Pike,
have
hey,
help?
when is my girlfriend coming? And why? Yeah, exactly. Why is
she the only one for an entire starship? That's stupid.
Like, I'm amazed that they didn't take out her console and actually replace it with a switchboard where she has to do all of like the different plugs into the different holes.
I can tell you why.
Why?
Because that's the theme of the musical, ladies and gentlemen. Uhura is the one who connects them all. She is the one that brings them all together. It is a metaphorical, symbolical, that's not a word, way to get the point of the musical in place. Yeah. So that is the reason that does not absolve the sin.
It's dumb.
Exactly.
It's dumb.
It's everyone's a dick to Uhura in this episode. Ambassador.
The other chapel sin that I thought that I was sinning first, but skipped ahead. The other sin that I have is also about Chapel, which is when she acts like she's nervous about being rejected, but I thought she was already over that. You know, they had the whole episode where she was like, I don't need your fellowship anymore. I am happy on the starship because look, my work does something and I got to interact with this amazing technology and do this thing and I don't need to be reaffirmed by any outside source. And then they've turned her back into this person that has to have these sort of fellowships. And maybe it's because her character needs to escape the drama of Spock because she wants to get out because she can't face the fact that she's not part of his future like she wanted to be, and it's confusing, and I get that. But like, they built that part into her story. They kind of built this like, I don't need a fellowship. I'm doing my own thing. So I just wish it was I don't know.
It was a little bit jarring.
Is it a little bit different though? Is the emotion now not like I need this, but I'm happy about this? Like those can be two different things.
Well, and her song would say that too. Her song would be like, I am remembering what drives me.
Yeah, this like there's a joy to what she's experiencing right now, not a like I will be lost without this that she was earlier. Like she healed from that, and now she's just excited
because she wants to do another fellowship, not because she needs to, but because she wants to.
Yeah, because the reason that Vulcan rejected her was really arbitrary.
Fine. You know what? Then my sin is that I don't have those fucking great boots. That's my sin.
Boots, great boots.
God,
yeah, no, they are incredible
They're
boots.
everywhere in this one. When those people are dancing in the hallway, and you know what? Their feet aren't making a sound on the set. You know why? Because of their boots. They're amazing, soft rubber boots.
I heard they actually had difficulty with the dance numbers
because they were so chonky boots.
No, because those boots were made for walking.
Oh, Jiminy
There we go. I knew it was coming
Oh,
because there's no
Jiminy.
way Aaron actually researched this. I know these jokes are coming because he hasn't read up on this.
That it was going to be a tumble or a fall because they have such
You
a
walked
wide sole.
right into it,
and
Deneé.
or that they were leaving skid marks on the nice white floors because they're black boots.
Possible.
I would be
Possible.
worried about that. You've known this man much longer than I have, and you
I'm
got
sorry
set
to
up
fail
for
you,
that one.
everybody. I'm sorry.
Dear. On that note, what's interesting is that I keep trying to get to my big sin, but what you guys keep saying is so relevant that I keep going to different sins instead. How does rhyming and choreography get explained away? I get it, the anomaly is making you sing, but how does that explain the choreography? Or is it just that's part of musicals?
I think maybe I don't know that there's much difference between making people sing and making them rhyme. I mean, you're controlling in both instances what they're doing, like how they're
Yeah.
expressing themselves.
What about the dancing, the choreography?
Same, right? You have a control over how they are expressing emotion.
But they're
So-
interacting with each other. Like, there's
Correct.
a moment when Outtakes looks over to Mitchell, and they're both pressing the buttons at
Yes,
the same time.
correct.
How?
Correct.
How?
in
how?
sync.
In
And
sync,
they're
how?
kind of surprised by that too, right? Like you can
Yes.
kind of read on their faces that they're like, "Wow, this
Are
isn't.
we
We're
part of
dancing with
it?
our
Sing?
controls right now." Yeah.
How is that happening?
Well, how is any of it happening? I think I'm just saying it all
My
goes
next sin.
in. Well, that it
How-
all goes in the same bowl. I don't think it's different than the singing. I don't think the dancing
Okay.
is different than the singing.
Right. The rules of musicals, and I'm sorry I've skipped you, Aaron. The rules of
No, that's fine.
musical. How is there a universe that is based on the rules of musicals that are based on rules of musicals made in our universe? I get infinite possibilities, infinite combinations, but
Itty bitty living space. Sorry.
we made the rules of musicals. Unless they're saying that the rules of musicals are a universal constant.
Yes, that's the
You
yes.
think they are? My goodness.
That's what
I think
they're saying.
the
Wow.
God of musicals wrote the 10 musical commandments, and they're just a part of the core of creation.
Just woven into the fabric of everything. It is.
No, you're absolutely right.
It is. That's a big leap. That is a big leap that they are now intersecting with a universe that is exclusively musical based, and we created musicals. Like
It
that
could also be
broke
because
my
we,
brain a bit.
but it could also be because we started the process, right? Like Uhura
No,
sent
we didn't start
our-
the fire.
No, we didn't
It
fight
was-
it, but
it was-
we tried to fight it.
It was
Uhura
always
sent a song from our universe that it pinged, right? So like it could be like if the Klingons had done that, maybe it would have been an opera, or something
But
else.
Spock does say that conceivably that there is a universe out there that is based on the laws of musicals.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I just it's so weird, and the finale is based on the finale. Like we can only get out of this if we complete the holodeck
it's
program.
not just based on music. It's based on Broadway musicals. It is a
Yes,
Broadway,
specifically, yes.
specifically United States of America.
Yes.
Broadway, New
what
York
was
City.
the song she
musicals.
put in? What was the song she put in? Because here's the thing, like
It was from the old, the song, but it was a classic.
but like if that's not a musical, that was my other question that I had. That was another
Right.
sin is if the first one wasn't a musical itself, then
and
why
it wasn't. I don't believe.
then why does everything else need to be a specific kind of musical?
Well, this is what I mean: is that they've tapped into a universe that already exists and is affecting them, and that's what I can't get my head around: is how does this universe exist?
So they didn't create it; it already existed.
It already existed, and the music that they put into it triggered it, yes, but didn't create it. And I think it would have been easier
Okay.
if they'd have made it so that they created it.
I think it
For
would
my
have been.
brain, anyway.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
It's straight. This very specific set of rules
very
that isn't just
confusing.
specific to our universe, galaxy, solar system, planet. It is a city and period of time on said planet, as Aaron said.
Yeah,
Yes.
I had to turn off all of figuring that out. But anyway,
It's fair. That's fair. The one thing I did like, the bit of technobabble I did like was Spock saying you got to tie the Heisenberg compensators into engineering into the deflector dish. I'm like, yeah, the Heisenberg compensators, that makes sense because
yeah, of course it
It's
does.
very Hitchhiker's Guide.
Sorry, I apologize.
Nerd, because that they need the Heisenberg compensators with the transporters
Uh-huh.
because you
Everybody
have
knows that.
this you have this anomaly where you're in two places at once because half of you is in the planet, half of you is like being taken apart and put elsewhere. And basically the Heisenberg compensator prevents the cloning thing where it stops that thing of you're not a clone of yourself, you are the you that left. And it's just the umbrella that they put in there to explain why transporters don't murder you and remake you. They do move you.
I had the thought that the whole thing is very similar to the improbability drive in Hitchhiker's Guide. Like
very
that there's
much.
a lot of the same kind of ideas there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very, very similar. Basdicer? Who knows? Who's got any more sins? I've completely screwed the order.
I think I've got one. Well, the only thing I have left to talk about, we kind of touched on, but I did want to go a little bit deeper on the impact of this phenomenon, not only like on the people who are experiencing it that we're seeing, but on the entire ship during their song, whether they can hear it or not. And that has to do with Spock disengaging the gravity. Like, did all of a sudden Spock was like just feel like he had to disengage the gravity? Like, you know,
I
like
mean,
was
why not? It explains the choreography, doesn't it?
Sure. Yes, it's all explainable. It was just when it starts to get to those places, I wonder if it gets a little bit weirder and a little bit more zombified. And so you kind of have to think, because it appears that outside of their songs, they're free to just have conversations and, you know, do whatever. And then when an emotional moment arises, well, Spock's not in an emotional moment when he disengages the gravity. So how is the ship taking, or how is the effect taking control of him? Or I don't know. I think a little bit further exploration of the science behind it would be interesting.
I think it would, or at least just obey some of the rules that you've already put in place is always a good one.
What are rules?
Ambassador.
I don't think I have much more on this one. She cracks her own neck at the beginning. Can I just
stop it?
Just as a reminder, we really shouldn't pop our own necks in general.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I had one big stinking one that just had me screaming at the screen, and it was when Pike is having his conversation with Captain Batel. Somebody cut that off, please. It shouldn't have taken like La'an coming across the bridge to turn it off. For the love of your captain, if you respect him at all, Uhura, cut this shit off.
Uhura was in it. She wanted to see the drama.
Ooh, this is a conflict. How could she turn it off if everybody's under the control when the songs are going on? If the entity wants them to be singing this, how could she cut it off anyway?
There isn't
if
an
Spock
entity.
Can be controlled by the entity to keep it going, then
there isn't an entity.
There isn't an entity that controls them.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, though. You know the rules, the phenomenon.
Either it has to carry on, or La'an or anybody should have been able to cut it off. Like, either nobody can do it,
there's a little bit of a contradiction there.
Yeah. Why could La'an suddenly break out? Unless it was all part of the show and the song was meant to end at that point, and that's why La'an comes over and cuts it off.
Fair. Because there's entertainment there. It's funny to end it there.
Yeah.
That's what the phenomenon.
Even if there was an entity, they didn't even want to see that, you know?
Exactly. Cool. That's it, I think. We're not going to do a was it in the trailer because there was only one thing in the trailer, and it was the Enterprise spinning around with the 3 Klingon ships spinning around it funny. As well when they do the final thing. And that's one of the most beautiful. I mean, Aaron, you probably didn't see it. That was probably just a black screen.
I'm literally sitting here going, "What are they talking about?"
No idea.
Why
During
didn't you
the final number, they're being chased by because he's ship blind.
Oh, he's shit blind or ship blind?
Ship blind. Ship
he
blind.
Is shit blind.
Behind me is just a bunch of empty shells. He can't see anything.
No, it's 15 of the same ship. I don't understand.
He just saw the Enterprise being flanked by 3 other Enterprises just spinning around.
Yeah, it was at the finale. Yeah, it was really pretty.
And it's
cool.
in the trailer.
I'll have to go back and watch that.
But
Fine,
will you?
You won't appreciate it.
We also should talk about our predictions, right?
Oh man, thank you. I always forget that.
Not always.
So Deneé,
Not always.
Not always. Your specific your big prediction was drugs. It wasn't, sadly. Just they're all some massive hallucinogens. That's usually the go-to.
Yeah.
To explain away these kind of. It never really happened. It was all a dream, something like that. I'm glad they didn't go that route.
Yeah.
Your oddly specific one, Ian will not enjoy it. And I did.
No.
Actually.
My oddly specific was that somebody was going to flub their note.
Did anyone flub a high note?
Nope. No funny shenanigans
No?
happened.
I
No,
don't think so.
unfortunately, it didn't.
Commodore, you thought it'd be dealing with a storybook like the Elysium episode last
Which I don't think is
Yeah.
correct, because in that one they
Musical
didn't really know
virus.
what was going on, and this one they knew what was going on.
They-
That's a big difference.
Yeah, everyone remembers this.
Yep.
Your specific one, Spock singing, will be hilarious. It was not. I mean,
It was hilarious.
The opening was, yeah, but it was also really great.
It was great. It was amazing, which was hilarious.
Yeah, that opening track is so good.
Yep.
Okay, everybody, podcast listeners, you won't have seen any difference, but those of you that join us for the live show, we will be back next week live on
Twitch and
live on
YouTube,
Twitch.
CSPN channel.
It's actually going to be this week as you're listening to the show. So this episode comes out on Wednesday. We will be live this Friday to do the Strange New Worlds finale, episode 10. Join us on the CinemaSins live Twitch channel and the CSPN YouTube live channel. Until then, I am Captain Ian, and shit, I had it right in front of me and then I had to scroll back.
And shit, which you can't see.
Nope. And my emotions constitute a security risk.
It's Gilbert and Sullivan. From me.
I'm not familiar with those crew members.
And I highly doubt I'll be a bunny from me.
And live long and prosper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
This is the part of the show where Aaron sticks the biggest bite of a burger in his mouth that he possibly can. He's going to correct me and say that it's actually a sandwich, because I think it's a chicken sandwich.
It is a chicken sandwich.
Right, before we get into the show, let's do a couple of emails.
Nicely
Okay,
done.
I'm actually not going to do it in the outtakes. I'm going to do it in the show, and that's going to be the bumper for it.
That's why I did it.
Oh, it was the deepest noise. It was sounded like a foghorn. Oh, yeah.
Well, now that you've got one, and you've done one, I'll do one as well. Emails!
I guess we're going to mash them together
Yeah.
as like one like overlaid.
Oh boy, the
gonna be
harmonies on
beautiful.
that are going to be stellar.
Okay, Ambassador, you were not with us last week. Dicer, give us a quick synopsis of what she missed from last week's episode, because we think she would have loved it. She would have loved last week's episode. Love the pants off it.
Ian, I'm not playing this game with you. Deneé, don't watch last week's episode. What? You give me like a key word, Ian, and I'll remember. What was-
Klingon Kung Fu.
Klingons, diplomacy, war crimes.
yeah, right. There were
He still doesn't know.
we
We recorded that 4 days ago, Aaron.
So there was a Klingon. Oh, okay. I'm starting to remember. Yeah, I had to like dig it out of those parts of my brain where it lingers. So there was a guy that was a war criminal. He's a Klingon that absolutely did horrendous things. And he's welcomed on board of the ship as now an ambassador of peace, right? Like, or he's, for Klingons, being peaceful or whatever. Well, M'Benga and Chapel both were actually in the war battle that this guy is most known for as the butcher of
Wow.
The butcher of Jafar, which I thought was Aladdin, but what do I know? It all comes down to the fact that actually M'Benga was apparently the butcher of Jafar and murders this guy in cold blood at the end of the episode, as far as we know.
In sick bay, it's implied.
It's yes, and we talked.
Hold on. M'Benga was the butcher?
Yes, he was apparently he killed all these people in this battle, and then
So one of the crimes that the Klingon was accused
I'm
of
sorry.
was
Hold on.
wait,
just
wait,
one.
yeah.
Wait,
Aaron,
no. Can you just real quickly explain to me why I wouldn't like this episode? Because this sounds fucking crazy.
We've described it in a way that's far more entertaining.
Whoa, Mbenga's a murderer?
Well, we talked about it for a while.
Kind of. Yeah.
The show is going to reverse this somehow. There are weird things in the editing it does at the end that it's just...
Okay, so then this episode is going to be the reversal of the previous episode.
No. Well, I highly doubt it, but...
Nope, doesn't sound
but
like it.
Maybe next season, or what I said, my guess was that the finale, the very end of the finale, Mbenga would be taken off to court so we can do another courtroom episode to start off next season.
Start next season. He's not a murderer. He didn't murder him.
He just stabbed him and then fixed him?
As far as we know, he did right now. As far as we know, he
true.
did.
Like, what did he do? Like, launch the body out?
No, so
He
basically...
ate it?
He literally kept the knife he used to murder all those people during the war that this person had been blamed on doing. And he went to get the knife and then stabbed him 3 times. The guy didn't do anything to him.
Holy shit crackers. And then what did he do with the body?
I don't know if anyone is interested in the truth. I don't want you to watch the episode, Deneé, because I don't think you would have liked it, but I do like the debate. I do like talking about how insane it is, how they edited that show together. It's such a weird conversation.
I like the episode that exists in my mind after hearing all of that.
I guarantee it's better than... Yeah. I think it's better than what we watched, for sure.
Because as the Klingon is being murdered to death by Mbenga, a Klingon opera is playing in the background. And
Nice.
that's all that matters.
Nice.
I'm sorry you didn't have a good time.
It's okay.
I mean,
that happens.
Were there Klingons doing karate?
There was one Klingon.
There was one
yeah.
Klingon.
Well,
Mbenga.
I'm still kind of confused why I wouldn't like it, because that sounds awesome also.
So, best ever challenge this week on the website is boat movies. So this is movies that feature boats above
Sharks.
the
They
water.
feature sharks. Just say it.
No.
I came in at the perfect moment.
And somebody wants to do Moana. And so there's a fight right now as to whether or not Moana is a boat movie.
It's not.
It's absolutely a boat movie.
Oh, I love it. We've got both sides here. Absolutely not. Absolutely is. Let's
It's
go.
absolutely a
not.
boat movie.
It's not a boat
Absolutely,
movie.
it's
It's
a boat. Yes, it
absolutely
is.
not.
100%. Without
this is one of those-
question. What's
this
wrong
is-
with you?
Deneé, you begin. You begin. What makes Moana a boat movie?
The entire premise of this movie is that the people are boat people, true and true. And she's discovering the love of the boat and how to use the boat and how to navigate on the boat to save her people.
Right. And
So I think it's a boat movie.
And she's on a boat for how much of the movie?
I don't fucking care.
Oh no, I was
It's a boat
genuine. I
movie.
wasn't trying to make a point. I'm
Yes,
the
you are.
neutral moderator here. Believe
are
me.
you?
Believe
I don't know.
me.
I feel like I'm being set up. So she leaves her island and then she has to she has to learn how to use the boat.
Mhm.
Then she finds her way to the trickster character who teaches her how to be on a boat. They're on the water for quite a long time, trying to find where the thing is that they're looking for. Then she saves her village and they all get on the boats at the end and they sail, become sailing people. So I think that if we were to spend the entire movie on the boat, it would have been a long time, but they cleverly don't make us stay on an ocean with 2 characters, a chicken and a pig the entire time.
Right.
would've been
Ian,
great.
rebuttal.
To be completely honest, I haven't seen this movie all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces of it in the
If those
background.
bits and pieces don't involve boats, therefore
none of those bits and pieces
not
were
a
on a
boat
boat.
movie. Well, Deneé,
I
guess who
think-
wins the debate?
I don't even know how you enter a debate considering you haven't seen what you're debating
You
about.
have no idea the level of my arrogance.
Here are the arguments. This is against. It does have a boat sequence, but not enough of the runtime. Yes, I agree. They go different places using boats, but the bulk of the story and the purpose of the boats is to get to different places on land. Here's the rebuttal. I don't often push back, but I believe you guys may not have watched it that much to make a claim like that. The bulk of the movie is on a boat. The first 15 minutes is on land, and the Tamatoa sequence is an underwater world. Otherwise, the first obstacle is against the giant Mad Max boat. The final act takes place entirely at sea. The emotional core of the movie is on the boat in Moana learning to be a wayfinder/sailor, and the crux of the movie is about how her people lived on boats traveling from island to island to set up colonies but remain ocean dwellers. They may end up on a few land masses, but those aren't the bulk of the movie. So that sounds very similar to what Deneé was saying.
It's a convincing argument. I mean, it doesn't matter.
I'm excited to hear you continue to argue the opposite of something you haven't even experienced.
It's a super semantic thing, but I guess I can't argue this point at all. I just
can't.
feel like a boat
You
movie.
literally cannot.
I have seen the movie, and my instinctual response was, no, Moana's not a boat movie. But the more I think about it and the more I listen to people talk about it, I'm like, no, actually, Moana is a boat movie. It is definitely about boats.
Aaron, you're so weak. How dare you have a point of view, listen to facts, and then change your mind?
It's true. It's one of my biggest weaknesses.
You got to dig in no matter what.
I love how I agreed with you. Like, I changed my mind and was like, yep, that's my weakness.
Hey, Ian.
Hey, Deneé.
I need to tell you something. I need to confess something.
Okay, go for it.
My fish tank has an alive thing in it again.
Did you buy another fish?
If only.
It's bacteria, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, because you haven't emptied the water yet, Deneé. You have had stagnant water in your room for over a month. Evolution is happening.
I know. And now I'm thinking, not only can I not bury a frozen fish, but can I stop the science?
Yes, you can.
I don't think I can.
You can, because that is the place where you sleep. Karen, I live 5,000 miles away. Aaron Dicer, you live less than 5 miles away. And you haven't dealt with this yet.
It's not my responsibility.
Your friend's not dying, is?
My adult friend can make her own choices and about her health and well-being. I can give advice. I have certainly given advice.
At what point is there an intervention?
I don't know. Interventions are weird, man. Like, I don't know that they always work.
I'm just
Sometimes
surprised you haven't asked like what the living thing looks like, because it is.
Don't need to know.
It started off as a nice little film on the top. And then one day there was a breeze of some kind, and it disrupted the pattern, and it sort of folded in upon itself like an accordion, and some sank under the water ever so slightly, but some still clung to the top. And that which went under the water has begun to take form in a new form. Science.
It is science. It is science. For all you know, she's developed penicillin. You know, like.
Is Iris fascinated by the moss and mold that's growing inside the tank?
Iris is 6. She's only absorbed in her own body and what is an immediate 4 inches around her at any given time. So unless
Sometimes
I draw
not even
attention to it, yeah.
You said Iris is sick because she absorbed it into her body? Is that what you just said?
So fish is still in the freezer. You're growing a new fish. Is that the update?
That's the update.
Long live the fish.
Long live the fish. Since we're not doing the show anymore.
Don't remember saying that.
I just wanted to let you know I just bought a siphoning kit off of Amazon.
Wait, why? For the tank?
How else am I going to get the fucking water out of this tank, Ian?
Oh,
How?
it's easy. So you get a bucket and then you get like a hose pipe and then you suck and then that's
a siphon.
Yeah,
No.
You're describing a siphon.
Yeah, but you've got a hose pipe, haven't you?
You want me to go get a 10-foot hose
And
and
suck.
suck on that thing hard enough to pull out some water?
You got to make sure that you get a good gulp of it first.
I'm uncomfortable where this conversation is going, so I'm going to change the topic here. The problem isn't the siphoning. The problem is, did you say hose pipe?
Yeah. What do you call it?
What is a hose pipe?
So, you know when you've got your sprayer that you water the garden with?
Yes, a garden hose.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you've got the hose, which is the thing on the front, the nozzle. And then you have the pipe, and that's the hose pipe.
No, that's the hose.
No, it's good. The hose
The
pipe
sprayer
is
is the nozzle. Yeah. There is no pipe.
What
a pipe
would you
is
call it?
metal. A pipe.
No. Pipe is pipe. What do you call the rubber bit? What do
The
you call
hose.
that?
The garden
That's
hose.
not a hose. That's not a hose, is it? That's a pipe.
Since
Good.
we're not doing the show anymore, I'm on Amazon right now, and they've just marketed to me a mini personal electric skillet and rapid noodle maker. And it's a teeny tiny little thing that I can put my little ramen noodles in, and
Aw.
it cooks it for me. Yeah.
Deneé, it takes 3 minutes to make ramen. How
And it has
much
a
quicker do you need it to
teeny little
be?
lid. Yeah.
I
think
kind
it
of
even
love
comes with
that.
some
What is that called?
chopsticks. Nostalgia, my mini personal electric skillet and rapid noodle maker, perfect for healthy keto and low carb diet. Yellow.
That
Oh,
was
I've seen that before. Yeah, we call that a hose over here.
It's time to do the show, but I haven't used my voice all day, so I'm gonna sound very different. Hopefully, my voice will come back. Me. You.